Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, the Philippine government rejects the International Criminal Court's probe on the Duterte administration's war on drugs. As the world war continues, President Rodrigo Duterte threatens to ignore Senate investigations on the alleged mishandling of the COVID-19 funds. And later, up close and personal, why this human rights lawyer is giving the Senate race a second shot. Free Legal Assistance Group Chairman, Attorney Chel Diokno, joins us live. Malacanang insists the Philippines will not cooperate in the International Criminal Court or ICC's probe on the Duterte administration's war on drugs. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque is confident the probe will not prosper and no charges can be filed. But how far can this ICC probe go? Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have human rights lawyer and Free Legal Assistance Group Chairman, Attorney Chel Diokno. Attorney Diokno, it's good to have you again on the source. Thank you so much for your time.
Nice to see you again, Pinky, and good day to everyone.
So, Secretary Roque was actually saying that this probe can be stopped at the pre-trial chamber and not really result into a full-blown trial because, well, Malacanang and the police will not cooperate. Sabi nga po niya, matutulog lang yang kasong yan. Do you agree, sir?
No, I don't agree with that statement because there are many ways that the prosecutor's office of the ICC can gather evidence. If they really will be refused entry into the country, they can still take evidence in other ways.
So it is possible that hindi ho sila makakapasok talaga sa bansa?
Depende na po yan sa ating pamahalaan dahil mismong may mga announcements sila na hindi nga daw nila papapasukin. Pero kung ganun po yan, they can still, for example, take evidence, I would presume, electronically or through the internet or hear witnesses in other places outside of the country.
I also wanted to find out, is there any way, any form, or any method or process by which the ICC can compel the Philippine government to actually cooperate?
There is an obligation under the Rome Statute for all member states to cooperate with the court. And even if we have withdrawn from the treaty, because the jurisdiction of the court has already lodged for those alleged offenses that have taken place prior to the withdrawal, we still have an international legal obligation to cooperate with the court and with the prosecutor, given that there's already been a formal approval of the investigation.
Hindi po totoo yung sinasabi na dahil nag-withdraw na tayo sa Rome Statute ay hindi na po tayo covered nitong probe because from my understanding also, attorney, is that it covers all those years prior to the withdrawal from the Rome Statute.
Tama yan, Pinky. Prospective ang ating withdrawal. Pero yung mga nangyari mula nung tayo ay sumama sa Rome Statute noong 2011 hanggang tayo ay nag-withdraw noong 2019, doon naging effective yung withdrawal natin, ay sakop pa rin ng jurisdiction ng International Criminal Court.
And it's important you said that 2019 because we actually withdrew in 2018, but the establishment of that withdrawal happens, tama ho ba, 1 year upon the actual withdrawal in 2018?
Yes, the effectivity of the withdrawal is a year after notice is given by the state.
So tell us the process by which this can happen, because from what I know, the ICC prosecutor can issue summons, and can they also issue arrest warrants?
What I understand of the rules of the Rome Statute, which is the treaty that governs the International Criminal Court, is after the pretrial chamber, has already authorized an investigation, as it has done in the situation in the Philippines, the prosecutor may request the pretrial chamber to issue a summons to appear or a warrant of arrest against persons who are believed to be responsible for, in this case, crimes against humanity. But I would presume that the Office of the Prosecutor would only do that if he or she believes that there is sufficient basis. In our country, we would call it probable cause. Under the Rome Statute, they refer to it as reasonable grounds. But gagawin lang siguro niya yun pagka sa tingin na ay sapat ang ebidensya para mag-issue nga ng either summons to appear or warrant of arrest.
So sa ngayon, wala pa po yung tinatawag na probable cause na alam natin. That needs to be established.
Ngayon, wala pa naman na request ang prosecutor's office sa pretrial chamber na mag-issue ng ganon na summons or warrant.
How long do you think, in the event that they find probable cause before they actually get there and summons or arrest warrants are issued, how long does that take?
It's really hard to say. I think it will depend on the progress of the collection of evidence and gathering of evidence. If the evidence is already there, then of course they will have to make an assessment first kung gaano katibay yung ebidensya, and if they think that it's enough, that's the only time they would probably apply for that kind of process.
So that's where I need to get some clarity, because bago po pumayag ng investigation ng investigation dito sa pre-trial chamber, hindi ho ba inaral na yan prior to where we are right now, or where at what stage the ICC would be in right now? Ibig sabihin, yung mga dokumento, tiningnan na po yan, in-examine na yan, in-analyze na po yan in the past. So, ibig sabihin, would it be somehow some sort of a duplication of what was established prior to the pretrial chamber?
Ang alam ko kasing proseso dyan ay ganito. The prosecutor may look at the situation in a country and base it on the available, whatever evidence that the prosecutor can find at that time. That's what we would commonly call a preliminary examination. Wala pang approval yan ng pretrial chamber. So prosecutor pa lang, sarili lang niyang pagsusurian. And kung sa tingin niya ay sapat, meron reasonable ground to proceed with a formal investigation, then the prosecutor will request formally the pretrial chamber to give approval. At yan ang ginawa ni Prosecutor Bensuda bago siya nag-step down. Noong itong recent announcement or decision ng pretrial chamber, ang sabi nila ay, yes, we agree with you that there is sufficient basis to proceed now with an investigation. So the actual, what we would call a formal investigation, or perhaps yung katumbas natin dito would probably by analogy be the preliminary investigation, is what was approved by the pretrial chamber. But I have to emphasize na medyo may pagkakaiba yung procedure doon sa procedure natin in some respects.
And what would be the differences?
Well, one is they don't have, yung sa atin kasi diba yung sa preliminary investigation, it's a formal process conducted by the Department of Justice where the person charged is given a chance to submit a counter affidavit, then there's a resolution, may appeal pa po yan. That is not the kind of process they follow in the International Criminal Court. Siyempre kasi iba naman ang procedure doon, just like in other countries, iba rin ang procedure nila for prosecuting crimes. Now, but when it comes to the issuance of warrant of arrest and summons to appear, halos pareho yan sa atin. Ibig sabihin ay kailangan sapat ang ebidensya, titingnan muna ng pretrial chamber kung tama yung assessment ng prosecutor na there is reasonable ground, or what we would call probable cause to issue a warrant of arrest. The trial itself is also quite similar to our trial. Both sides are given opportunity to present witnesses, right to counsel. and the usual protections given to all the accused.
In summary, basically to try to understand it, it's as if may prosecutor po, tinitingnan kung may basihan ito, sinabi ng prosecutor, meron tong basihan. Tapos the next step is the pretrial chamber. And then the pretrial chamber again tries to determine or will try to determine if meron pong basihan ang kasong ito. Would that be basically to summarize where we are right now?
Well, to explain the difference more clearly, if a preliminary investigation in our country would begin with a complaint, then the DOJ would ask the respondent to submit a counter affidavit. In the Office of the Prosecutor in the ICC, it's different. The prosecutor conducts his or her own preliminary examination of what's available in terms of the evidence. If they think that they should proceed with a formal investigation, then they go immediately to the pretrial chamber and ask for authorization. Pagka binigay ng pretrial chamber yung authorization, that's when they really go to the full-blown gathering of evidence to really see if this case should go to the next stage, which is really a trial already.
I see. So there's still a possibility that during this pre-trial chamber that wala po silang mahanap na probable cause. It goes both ways. Either they find probable cause or they don't.
Yes, wala pa tayo doon sa stage na yan. At malalaman lang natin yan kung mag-apply ang prosecutor doon ng isang search warrant or summons to appear.
And who can be covered? Who can be summoned during this pre-trial chamber? Kasama na ho ba dyan si Pangulong Duterte at sino pa po?
The policy of the prosecutor, as far as I know, is really to only investigate and if ever charge those who are primarily responsible for the crimes. In this case, the charge revolves around crimes against humanity. So kumbaga yung nasa likod o yung tinatawag natin na mastermind or those chiefly responsible. So in our case, it could include the president and others who were directly involved in the operations of the war on drugs.
Such as, of course, the PNP chief at that time who would be Senator Bato de la Rosa.
Yes, in the decision of the pretrial chamber, they did make mention that the entire war on drugs was operationalized by a command memorandum circular CMC 16-2016 issued by now Senator De La Rosa on his first day, I believe, of his assumption of office as PNP chief.
Okay, so thank you for that. I just want to shift to two other topics if we're going to have time. First, of course, this word war between the president and Senator De Gordon. I wanted to ask from you because the president is asking the Solgen to direct the COA to audit the Philippine Red Cross. What I want to find out is it within the mandate of the COA to audit PRC?
No, the COA may audit any funds coming from any state agency that was given to a private organization like the Red Cross. So if there was a specific government agency na nagbigay ng pera, yun, dapat pwedeng i-audit ng COA yun. But the authority of the COA is really limited only to government agencies, which include the GOCCs, and other instruments of our government, but the Red Cross is not part of our government structure.
Okay, and just one last topic on this I wanted to get your thoughts on. There is an order from the LGU, I believe of Davao, for all its employees, whether regular or not, to have themselves vaccinated. And failure to comply would actually result to a 1 month to 6 month suspension or even possible dismissal. Is this legal, sir? I think that nag-freeze na si Attorney Chel. Let's first take a very short break. When we return, we are gonna go up close and personal with Attorney Chel Diokno, his plans for the 2022 elections. The Source will be right back. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. In this part of the show, we want to know the potential candidates in the 2022 elections up close and personal. This is part of our The Filipino Votes campaign to help you make informed decisions and up close and personal. Attorney Chel Diokno. Attorney, I hope you're back.
Yes, I'm back, and thank you for having me.
Okay, Attorney, this is where we want to get to know the candidates for the 2022 elections, and we're glad to have you. First, of course, is what made you decide to once again take a run for the Senate?
Thank you for that question. Marami rin nagtatanong sa akin kung bakit ako sasabak ulit yan sa magulong larangan ng politika. Well, first of all, I think the pandemic has really been an eye-opener for all of us. And the area of where there's going to be a really big legal battlefield will be in the Senate. Because we have so many issues that are affecting our country now that didn't affect us before. The staggering impact on the economy, the soaring debt of our government, the problem with unemployment, yung marami na sa atin ay nagugutom at nangangailangan dito sa ilalim ng pandemya. At kailangan mabigyan ng high priority ng ating pamahalaan yan. I don't see it happening under this administration, and I want to be a part of a movement that will really be able to help the ordinary Filipino.
That makes me believe then that because of what's happening in the Senate right now, this is something you're possibly closely monitoring.
Yes, definitely. Kasi ang involved dyan ay pera ng bayan at lalo na sa ilalim ng pandemya, dapat sigurado tayo na tama at wasto ang paggamit ng pera ng bayan.
Opo. So yun po, very important sa inyo kasi I wanted to point out that this is not the first time, obviously, that the Senate was looking into this because remember, nagkaroon po ng Committee of the Whole meeting. Maybe there were 2 or 3 Committee of the Whole meetings of the Senate looking into the vaccination and the price of vaccination and the budget by which Congress would allot for the vaccination program of the Filipino people.
That's right. And you know, the supply chain of our government, dapat talaga malaman ng taong bayan kung paano ba nila na-allocate yung pera, paano ba nila nahahanap yung bibilhan ng mga face mask, yung mga PPE, at tama ba yung presyo na binila nila? Kasi ang malulugi naman dyan, hindi naman yung gobyerno, ang nalulugi dyan ang taong bayan.
Oh, yung mga taxpayers, definitely. So, hindi ho ba kayo, well, obviously hindi kayo nawala ng loob, pero what gives you siguro strength, apart from yung sinabi nyo nga, the pandemic has changed a lot, ano? What makes you think you have a better chance this time to make it? Medyo masikip po yung laban.
Well, first of all, I have one campaign under my belt and marami talaga akong natutunan dun sa unang kampanyang yan. That campaign was really, we were at a big disadvantage then because midterm elections yon at alam ng mga local government officials na uupo pa sa Malacanang sa Pangulo at yung mga ibang nasa administrasyon ng 3 taon pa. This election is a term-ending election and so much has changed since 2019. We didn't have a pandemic at that time. The people did not see how it was managed. Now they've seen it firsthand and it has affected everyone directly. Yung buong buhay natin ay talagang nabaliktad nitong COVID-19 at pati ng pamamahala ng ating pamahalaan pagdating sa issue ng pandemya. The other area I draw my strength from really are the youth because I've been engaging with them for the last 2 years. Walang katapusan yung kanilang mga paanyaya sa akin na paghalog-bilog sa kanila. At that has really inspired me because the energy of our youth has always historically been the energy of change in our country.
Yeah. And marami po ang youth na botante sa 2022. So you're saying basically that malaki pong diferensya. There was a big difference, one of a midterm election and the other one comparing it to a presidential election.
Definitely, there's that, and there's also the more open space to speak out now compared to before. Dati, di ba, maraming nananahimik lang. Pero ngayon, ang dami ko na monitor na people I would not expect to voice out their concerns have been speaking out. The other change is that halos lahat ng ginagawa natin ngayon ay online. Nag-aaral tayo online, nagsha-shopping tayo online, nagsosocialize tayo online. And that has leveled the playing field for candidates like myself who don't really have the kind of war chest or any kind of the resources that other candidates have. Nakakatulong sa amin yan.
Which is very true dahil nung 2019 po, yung Ocho Diretso, hindi ho ba, you kept going around the country. Minsan nga, naghihiwalay pa kayo to cover as many places as possible. But obviously now, a lot of it will be online. Aren't you concerned about the cost of that? While, hindi na ho nga siguro magiging personal yung panliligaw ng boto, kailangan nyo naman po ng commercials, which is a lot of money.
It's not as bad as the television ads. Ang talagang grabing gastos ang TV ads. And that's why that really put us at a big disadvantage in 2019. On social media, even if you don't have ads, you can go viral as long as your messaging is good and the people like what they see, they will pass it around. So there is an opening there that is not available on television under a campaign.
So in a situation like this, it becomes very advantageous for people who don't really have so much money to spend. Sabi nga nila, ang estimate to run for the Senate is 200 to 500 million pesos. Baka nga mababa pa yung sinasabing 200 million pesos. The other question I wanted to ask was, why independent?
There are built-in advantages to being an independent. I could become a guest candidate of different political parties. And at this time, I think that unlike in 2019, I have a track record already in terms of the number of votes garnered. So wala nang issue po yan pagdating sa pagtatakbo bilang independent.
Yung name recall po kasi...
I have to add that I fully support the initiative of the Isang Bayan at sana talaga magkaroon tayo ng isang unity slate sa opposition. Dahil ang tingin ko, lalaki talaga ang pag-asa ng opposition na manalo kung nagsasama-sama sila. Kaya I expect that the Isang Bayan will be coming out with an announcement soon. I cannot say if I will be part of the list, but I fully support their initiative.
Do you think, Attorney Chel, looking into how politics has evolved from 2019 to now, there are a number of senators already speaking up against the president or his policies. You have a tandem of Ping Lacson, and Tito Soto already saying that they're running. You have a possibility of Vice President Leni Robredo, Manny Pacquiao, and Isko Moreno. I'm just looking at the other side, no po. Yun ho ba ang nakikita niyong political opposition?
Alam mo, Pinky, mahirap talaga yung salitang opposition kasi bago magkaroon tayo ng halalan ay meron talagang nag-o-oppose sa pamahalaan. Meron din naman na mga politiko na nagsasalita ng pag lumalapit na ang period ng filing na Certificate of Candidacy at yung mismong campaign. But at the same time, there has to be a really unified opposition if we want to get anywhere in the coming elections. Kaya ako, ayoko pang i-close ang pinto kanino man, basta't masasabi natin na sila ay opposition.
Meron na ho ba kayong slogan?
Wala pa yata. What I use is kakampi ko, may kakampi kayo sa batas. That's who I am. Ang dala ko naman palagi at ang identified na issue sa akin ay hustisya. At dala ko pa rin siyempre yung issue na yan But there's so many faces of justice. Ang dami mukha ng inhustisya dito sa atin. Yung pagkawala halimbawa ng ayuda, inhustisya yun. Yun nangyayari.
Attorney Diokno, we're losing you again. There is an internet problem. We'll go on a very short break. We will be right back. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb, up close and personal with Attorney Chel Diokno. Attorney, this is the part where I ask you a question and you just answer with a yes or no, with no explanation needed. I hope you're okay with that.
Ano yan? Parang fast talk yan. Okay.
Okay. Number one, do you favor easier public access to the SALN of the President, Vice President, and members of Congress?
Definitely, yes.
Parang alam ko na yung mga sagot niyo dito. Do you support lifting foreign ownership limits in the Constitution?
No, I don't.
Do you favor the reimposition of death penalty for drug-related crimes?
I am totally against the death penalty. No.
Should a sitting president be allowed to run for vice president in the next election?
No.
Do you favor resuming peace talks with communist rebels?
Yes, I do.
Should the country be more aggressive in protecting its maritime interests in the West Philippine Sea?
Absolutely. More diplomatic channels should be used.
I told you I knew what your answers would be, Attorney. We'd like to thank you, Attorney Chel Diokno, for joining us up close and personal. And of course, sir, we wish you luck in the 2022 elections. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Pinky. Take care, everyone.
Take care, sir, and thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.